Step into the shadows where dark thoughts erupt like blisters under the skin. Welcome to Shivers, short horror stories. A journey through time, space, and the unearthly fates that lie in wait for us all. Pick up sticks. Tim was hiking, seeking the thrill of solitude in a forest that had no name, no markings on any map, the kind of place that whispered its own secrets to the wind. Outside the forest, the day was bright and warm, the sun casting a golden glow over the landscape. Birds chirped cheerfully and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. It was the perfect day for an adventure. As Tim crossed the threshold of trees, a peculiar sound reached his ears. A cackle. Not just any cackle, but a chorus of birds, their song twisted into the delighted laugh of an old lady. He shook off the shiver that ran down his spine and moved deeper into the woods, unaware of the sinister ballet about to unfold. The atmosphere changed almost immediately. The vibrant sunlight was swallowed by a canopy of dense foliage, casting the forest floor into shadow. The air grew cool, almost cold, and the cheerful bird songs outside were replaced by an eerie silence, punctuated only by the occasional rustling of leaves and the distant cawing of crows. The once welcoming forest now felt oppressive, as if it were watching him. Tim walked for what felt like hours, though it was probably just minutes. The path underfoot was narrow and overgrown, forcing him to duck under low-hanging branches and step over tangled roots. The deeper he went, the more the forest seemed to close in around him, the trees standing like silent sentinels. His first encounter was with a disheveled woman hunched over, her hands moving with an unnatural precision, picking up sticks one by one. Her clothes were torn, her hair a tangled mess, and her eyes. Those eyes were empty. Tim watched her for a moment, curiosity piqued, but she was unresponsive to his presence. She didn't even look up. "Hey, you okay?" Tim's voice sounded too loud, too intrusive in the stillness of the forest. The woman continued her task, oblivious. The more Tim watched, the more he felt a creeping unease. Shaking his head, he dismissed it as just another oddity of nature, and moved on. Deeper into the forest, Tim's discomfort grew. He spotted more people, a total of 6 scattered around, each engaged in the same bizarre ritual. They were all picking up sticks. Their movements were synchronized, mechanical. Tim called out to them, waved his hands, even clapped, but received no response. It was like watching a macabre dance where the dancers had lost their souls. Then he saw a man, different from the rest. There was a frantic energy in his movements, a desperation that caught Tim's attention. The man's face was twisted in concentration, his fingers bleeding from the relentless task. Tim approached him, feeling an urgent need to break through whatever spell held these people captive. "Hey, man, what's going on? Why are you doing this?" Tim's voice trembled, betraying his rising fear. The man looked up, his face contorted in a grotesque mask of terror. His mouth opened and words tumbled out in a guttural whisper. "She's watching. You have to keep playing." Tim was confused. "Who is watching? Playing what?" "The witch," the man croaked. "You have to pick up sticks. If you stop, she'll take you." Before Tim could process the chilling message, the man was lifted off the ground. His scream was cut short as he was sucked into the sky, disappearing into the canopy above. Tim's heart pounded, his breath coming in short gasps. He turned to see 2 other people also picking up sticks, panic and start to run. They didn't get far. One moment they were there, the next they were yanked upwards, their bodies flailing helplessly before vanishing. Tim was frozen, rooted to the spot as he witnessed this surreal nightmare. In the distance, the remaining figures continued their task, undisturbed by the horror unfolding around them. They picked up sticks with the same mechanical precision, their eyes vacant, their faces blank. Tim's mind screamed at him to run, to escape this madness, but his body betrayed him. Driven by a primal fear, he bent down and picked up a stick. His movements were jerky at first, but soon he found himself falling into the same rhythm as the others. It was as if an unseen force guided his hands, compelling him to comply. Time lost meaning. The forest, once a sanctuary of peace, had transformed into a prison of silent despair. Tim's world narrowed to the ground before him, each stick a lifeline, each movement a desperate plea for survival. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that danced eerily among the trees. The forest grew darker, more menacing, and yet Tim continued his task, driven by a terror he couldn't fully comprehend. He glanced up occasionally, his eyes darting nervously, but the others were still there, picking up sticks, oblivious to the passage of time. In a rare moment of clarity, Tim looked around and saw the faces of those around him. They were young and old, men and women, all trapped in the same relentless cycle. He saw the woman again, her movements now slow, lethargic, as if the life was being drained from her with each passing moment. A rustling sound broke the monotony. Tim's heart skipped a beat as he saw a shadowy figure in the distance. It was indistinct, more of a presence than a form, but its eyes, those eyes were piercing, watching. He felt them boring into his soul, judging, waiting. Tim's hands trembled, and for a moment he faltered. The stick slipped from his grasp, and he hesitated. The forest seemed to hold its breath. The shadowy figure moved closer, and Tim's terror spiked. He grabbed another stick, his movements frantic, desperate to avoid the fate that had claimed the others. Hours turned into an eternity. Tim's body ached, his mind numbed by the repetitive task. He lost track of how many sticks he had picked up, how many steps he had taken. His vision blurred, the world around him fading into a haze of shadows and whispers. In the distance, a new sound emerged, a soft, mocking laughter. It was the cackle of the birds again, mingled with the delighted laugh of an old lady. The witch. Tim's heart raced, his breath shallow and rapid. He felt a cold hand grip his shoulder, but when he turned, there was nothing there. The presence was everywhere and nowhere, a phantom that ruled the forest with an iron grip. The others continued their task, oblivious to the growing darkness, their faces now mere masks of human form, devoid of life, devoid of hope. Tim's world shrank further, his mind consumed by the singular task of picking up sticks. He couldn't remember why he had come to the forest, couldn't remember his life before the curse. He was part of the forest now, bound to its sinister will. Tim's eyes were vacant and expressionless, mindlessly picking up sticks under the watchful gaze of the unseen witch. The forest had swallowed him whole, just another soul lost to its endless hunger. Not every forest is just trees and trails. Sometimes seeking escape from life's chaos can lead you into a trap even worse than what you left behind. In your quest for peace, you might find yourself ensnared by hidden forces, with no way to turn back once you're caught.